Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I'm gonna try my best to keep the screen from my eyes. The more I'm learning about technology, the more conscious I am with using these devices where they don't hurt me. So it's good to keep the screen away from your eyes. It can really fuck your eyes up. So this is a request video from a subscriber of mine, and I really feel like I should start from the very beginning. This will be the genesis of what I left out in my life story videos. That whole, trilogy. I left out the section, like just this part of it, because at the time, and I'm gonna try to go somewhere where I can sit down, where it's not so noisy. But at the time, if you were following me a little over a year ago, like January, like the end of 2023 to proceed towards 2024, I'm aware that I had a lot of people that were subscribing to my channel who were doing videos about women, mostly black women and all that stuff. And it's like, this is not a really, if you watch me, it's not a channel that really advocates too much for the opposite gender, very much. But I wasn't comfortable sharing what I'm about to tell you right now, because I just personally don't believe that straight men, as much as they talk about how women are this and how they don't want to waste their time and their money with them, I don't think they would go the route of sleeping with another guy or something akin to that, or dating one or marrying one. I don't think they would go to that extreme. But they were subscribing to my channel, and I just don't think straight men will listen to what someone who doesn't identify as straight will have to say. So I excluded this part from my series, but I want to start from the very beginning. And there's some things, like I said, I have a pretty good memory. There are some things that I'm going to be careful with my words with. I don't want to depict anything like too graphic, because I'm only 7 years old. This is the early 2000s. I'm only 7-8 years old. So let me tell you this right now, just to fast forward. I had no consciousness of attraction from ages 0 to about 7 years old. No consciousness whatsoever. It was only until the 2nd grade that I realized I had my first crush on another male student that was a grade below me. It was actually 2 in a grade below me, and there was 1 in my class. And I didn't really tell too many people about it. So understand, this is 2002, and I'm gonna go in order with everything. So let me just put it like this. When I was 7, I didn't really think about, there were girls that I liked, of course, but I never knew how to express emotion around girls. I didn't know how to talk to them. I didn't know how to be cool with girls. I never sorry about that. I never had girls that were strictly just friends in my life, ever. Now, the one I talked to can explain why I don't. I don't feel like there's nothing to talk about with the opposite gender. Not very much. But that's for we're gonna talk about it a lot later. We're gonna get to that point. So I didn't think about. I did a lot of daydreaming. A lot of daydreaming at 7 and 8. There was a lot of daydreaming in class, and I would think about the two male students that I had crushes on. And when I would think about them, I would think about them, you know, with me in the picture. But other than that, I would always think about being someone else and dating someone that liked that person. So I would always daydream about relationships. I would daydream about, like, perfect example, and this is kind of like strange, these are like random people, but sometimes I would daydream that I was like Jeff Hardy. I'm pretty much sort of exposing myself a little bit, but I had crushes on people that had long hair. Let me put this down. I had crushes on people that had long hair. The two students I'm talking about had long braids. Everyone wears braids now, but back in the day, 23 years ago, people were rocking braids. When I thought about other people that were on TV, and they were like, they weren't like, I don't know one instance of a gay cartoon or a gay movie at that age, other than the episode of SpongeBob, but I would not know that was considered gay, because you're not going to understand that at 7 years old. There was a wrestling, so I watched wrestling. I don't really remember it too much, but it was a stable called Billy and Chuck. They were wrestlers. They were tag team wrestlers. They got married on SmackDown. I watched every episode of SmackDown. Maybe I don't remember it too much, but I never really thought about them actually dating and getting married and having like intercourse with each other. Rosie O'Donnell hosted the Kids' Choice Awards for 3 years. She was openly an open lesbian. Didn't think about that at all. So I'm always going to put it like this. There was no sexuality at 7 years old. There was no attraction of like grown men or teenagers. Mostly everyone my own age. But I thought about being other men a lot of the times that I felt were deemed desirable. So perfect example of what I mean, and this is so weird mentioning this, but there was a singer. He died 5 years ago. There was a popular song for people my age. It was a group called Play. They were from Sweden. And they did a version of it was a 1960 song called I'm Gonna Make You Love Me. It was a song, it was an R&B song, but they did their own addition to it. And it was a feature on that song. His name was Chris Trosdale. Said that right. I only know that one song with him in the he did his own verse. But the thing about Chris is he just had like a look that I felt was desirable, and I thought about him a lot, just being him. That makes any sense. I thought about being him a lot in my mind. And this is so weird, but it turned out when he died that surviving family members, confirmed that he was in fact gay. He hid that from the public eye. And honestly, see, if it wasn't for the internet, I don't think people really give a shit, because I'm not gonna say I'm a nobody, but I'm not pulling strings. I'm not running shit. I'm not rich. But I would have probably went to the grave with all the stuff I'm telling you right now. I probably would have took it to the grave. Now I don't really disclose it. Like, I'm not open about it. I don't wear it on me, but he went to his with the grave. I would have probably did the same thing. But the thing about Chris, like I said, he turned out to be gay. And I don't know what it is, but it seems like they say when men try to keep their youthfulness, you know, when they try to reserve it in their 30s or their 40s, that's a sign that they possibly are gay. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I do it a little bit. Well, I do it a lot, but there are people that aren't, that try to reserve it, and they're not, in fact, you know, gay. But yeah, like I said, I thought about just people I saw on TV. It's not a whole lot, and this sounds kind of fucked up, but it wasn't a whole lot of, other than Little Bow Wow, it wasn't a whole lot of men that looked like kids my age that looked like me that I thought about being and fantasizing about being. Bow Wow is the only person I can think of, and maybe Romeo. Like I said, they had long hair, and I wanted long hair. I had braids when I was younger, but they were cut off by the time I was like 4, and I never grew them back. But yeah, like I said, there were crushes I had, and this is basically part 1. This is like my life story that I excluded from those videos.